Right. This session today, which is based on a 1992 song called Anthem by Leonard Cohen, is really about a message of hope in the darkness, because we're going to talk a little bit today about mindfulness and vulnerability, and do a mindfulness vulnerability practice. And also talk about the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is where you repair broken vases with gold. Because the song Anthem, there is a really beautiful line in it, and it's my favourite. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So we're going to talk really about this idea of the Japanese idea of repairing a vase with gold and seeing imperfection, perfection in imperfection, and this message of hope that Leonard Cohen said in his 1992 song Anthem, which is really sort of about poetic transcendence, really, because he used to be a poet before he became a songwriter and a singer. Jewish, obviously he's got a great understanding of racial suffering. But he studied Zen Buddhism and he became a Buddhist monk. And obviously a lot of his songs are about hope in darkness. And Cohen did it. I'm paraphrasing Leonard Cohen here. He said that situations do not need perfection. The thing is, everything is imperfect. There are cracks in everything, and that's where resurrection, repentance, hope can come through. But that can only come through the confrontation and vulnerability and dealing with difficult emotions. I like to use metaphors a lot in stories to sort of convey mindfulness. It's just the way I am, really. So I'm going to read you, oh, it's dingling. I'm going to read you something. Because we're going to do a meditation on vulnerability, and obviously using stories and extended metaphors can be quite useful, and the Bible is one, isn't it? So I'm going to read you this story called A Crack in It, okay, and then I'm going to sort of explain what this means, and then we're going to do our A Crack meditation on vulnerability. A crack. Oh, the crack, not the Irish crack. So I'm just going to read you this. So I just want you to contemplate and listen to the words. The Buddhist master sat and surveyed his students. One of them then stood up, bowed, then asked him a question. Please, master, can you tell us how we should view our life? He sat quietly for a few moments, then reached for a beautiful vase on the table next to him. See this vase, he said. It has a crack in it. Nobody could see the crack, but he insisted it was there. They were confused. He said, someday this vase will break. It will fall apart. That is the crack in it. So we have to be mindful. When holding it, we have to treat it with care. If it were plastic, you wouldn't care for it the same way, because it wouldn't break so easily. Likewise, we have a crack in all of us. It is called the end of our existence. Our relationships also have a crack in them, because at some point, our loved ones may leave us or we may leave them. That is why our relationships are precious. We need to cherish ourselves and each other, because just like the vase, we are precious and easily broken. So what does all that mean, really? I mean, you may have your own interpretation of that, but it's about the vulnerability. The flaw it's like the kintsugi vase, isn't it? The beautiful vase is made even more beautiful by the fact that it's repaired with gold. And the flaw is seen. The fact that it's broken pottery put together with gold makes it unique. And it's sort of the kint kintsugi vase is a kind of metaphor for feeling broken and the whole idea of having the many cracks in our lives. As Leonard Cohen says, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. But the cracks really are the portals to our happiness. Why? Whew. But we've talked a lot about this, haven't we, through the whole way that we've been going through the whole sessions that we've been doing. The fact that we sit with difficult emotions, that we, in the last session, we talked about striving for perfection, which leads us to give up. And then there is this moment of realisation where we don't want to seek perfection. And we feel shame, and our solid selves are shaken, particularly by our own self-criticism, by when other people criticise us, because our sense of self is challenged, by the suffering that we experience. But, you know, the Buddhists say that suffering is part of life, and what mindfulness is that we learn to live with the suffering. It's the Buddhist story of the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain. The second arrow is how we respond to that. So we have to turn to the vulnerability of our existence, the very nature of the fact that to be intimate with our vulnerability and to understand that we are not perfect. We are perfect in our imperfections, like the vase, like the crack that lets the light in, that Cohen says. And that, you know, this seeking for perfection, this striving, causes a lot of suffering as well. And wanting situations to be different than what they are, because that's what we do, don't we? We want situations to be, we don't want this lockdown. We don't want the social distancing. But mindfulness is about acceptance. And I talked about acceptance, and I said that acceptance is not very good. It sounds like resignation and giving up and passivity. Mindfulness is about acknowledgement of the difficulties of existence. But also as well, what I'm trying to say in this session is we must see life like the vase, the broken vase, made with the gold. That life is completely precious. That the more that we practice present moment attention, the more that we can enjoy our life. Because there's nothing really outside of the moment, is there? There is nothing. Wishing for something better, as we said in the last session, we're always trying to change and fix things, but we shouldn't try to change and fix ourselves. Because as we said before, we're not trying to, with mindfulness, throw ourselves away or make ourselves better. We're trying to befriend who we are, cracks and everything. And the cracks let the light in, metaphorically. So we have to see this reality in every relationship and events, that everything is precious and everybody is full of cracks. So can we practice non-judgmental? Can we practice this non-judgmental attitude with other people and ourselves, and not trying to fix and change things? And commenting on things and beating ourselves up and criticising other people. Can we notice every time that we criticise other people and ourselves? That's the important thing. So, we are going to do a practice that could be, which is focusing on the beginning and end of the breath. So if you ever feel challenged in this practice, I want you to remember your resourcing tools. Okay. Number one, if your mind gets distracted, always notice where it's gone. Label it. Thinking. Okay. If you are finding this difficult, you can stop. I'm not expecting anybody to do this, because this is a meditation on vulnerability, on our cracks. Remember, you can use your soothing touch. Your soothing touch is where you place your hands in a caring way to feel safe and comforted. But also your resourcing tools, when you're feeling with a difficult emotion and it comes up, remember, you keep focusing on the breath, your core, okay? Focus on the ground, and touch what's holding and supporting you. Refocus to an area of your body where you feel nothing or comfort or safety, okay? or you can focus on sounds or something of the five senses. Okay, so should we get ourselves into a comfortable seat, and remember that we're looking for the posture. We're not leaning against anything, because this is to keep ourselves alert, because we're noticing. Okay. And so we find our comfortable seat, knees stacking the spine like golden coins. Okay. Chin slightly tucked in. Mouth open or closed. Tongue in between gums and teeth. Eyes soft or eyes closed. But we're going to drop into the body. That's really important. So, shall we start at the beginning of the practice? Okay. And let's go. So I'm going to ring the bell for the beginning and the end. Let's go. Okay. So find your meditation seat, spine long, dignified like a mountain. Eyes closed or soft gaze, and try to drop down your awareness into the body. And just become aware of the contact between the hands, maybe the thighs, the hips and the feet, whatever is holding and supporting you. And just keep that nice sense of awareness of the hands resting. You may notice sounds. And then start to focus on the breath, paying attention. And if the mind wanders, simply notice, like a roaming child or a little puppy, gently guide them back to the focus of the breath. Really feel and pay attention to the breath. Pay attention to the beginning of it and the end of it. And allow yourself to feel emotionally what it is to breathe. Keeping that focus on the beginning and the end of the breath. And this breath is the whole of life itself. Allow yourself to feel it. You may notice perhaps the gentle pause in between the in-breath and the out-breath. Keep focusing and noticing how the breath itself is a metaphor for life. Noticing the beginning and the end. And now pay a particular attention now to just the end of the breath in this practice. Just notice if there's a little holding on. An emotional holding of the breath as it comes to an end. Again, you're focusing on the emotional nature of what the breath is. And just spend a few minutes in this space, focusing on the end of the out breath. Allow yourself to feel emotionally what it is, that end of the out breath. And allow any resistance or fears to be felt. If anything comes up emotionally, remember your resource tools. Soothing touch. The focus of your hands on the ground. Keeping that subtle awareness of the hands and the feet. But see if you can stay with it. Allow any resistance or fears to be felt. Put out the welcome mat. If it gets too much, label that fear or resistance. Say in a soft, gentle, friendly voice, as if it's a best friend. Say, this is. Let us practice this focus on the end breath for a few moments in silence. Notice whenever you're distracted, come back to the focus. Now release any awareness of the breath. Still in our practice, see if you can reflect that just as the breath has a beginning and an end, so do all relationships and events. It's not about becoming depressed. It's about learning to cherish each moment we have. Try to welcome any feelings of sadness or joy or any emotions that come up. And try to turn and embrace each of these emotions. They are part of us. Almost tenderly and comfortingly, like a small child that needs nurturing. If it gets too much, come back to your resourcing tools. Label, name the emotion. And place a soothing, tender-hearted, warmth and caring feeling to feel safe in any part of the body with the hands. Okay, so just come back to where you are, the time of the day, space, the contact with your body and whatever is holding and supporting you, and gently open your eyes. So, more to explore. Yes, mindfulness is a challenge. Mindfulness is about vulnerability and authenticity. Mindfulness is coming back to oneself. And as we've always said in previous sessions, we can't really heal unless we feel. And it's not about being better, it's about befriending difficult emotions, befriending who we are, and more importantly, whatever you resist persists. If you resist grief, it will persist. If you resist sadness, it will persist. And I suppose I was trying to really say that despite all, there is hope. And that's why I referred to Leonard Cohen. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So, thank you for today. Our next session is Tuesday. Do enjoy your bank holiday tomorrow. And obviously I'll be doing something, I might be doing a little bit of a challenging yoga session on Wednesday. So it may be some kick-ass yoga. So be prepared to be worked a little hard. Wednesday night at 7. I look forward to the challenge. Take care.